Hey everybody, Newleaf here, and today we're here for the much-awaited travel video of my journeys at Eponafest in Italy, a very interesting country and an amazing convention. So let's explore this together and recap all of my memories. Also, I got an announcement from Opaline herself. Hold, are we actually getting sponsored?
Newleaf is an alicorn, and I am an alicorn, and alicorns rule. Subscribe to the channel, or I will steal all your cutie marks.
Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this. Creepy. Our journey begins at this very familiar train station. Seriously, I think I've started from here last like 10 times. Anyway, had to catch this train. Look at the view out here. This is the Rhine, and it's like sort of a famous landmark where I'm from. Anyway, as I was going, I would eventually make it to this train station. It was a very interesting one because not only was I catching my connecting train, but it was being watched the whole time. Look at this camera. Two can take pictures of each other, Mr. Camera, in the sky. Anyway, on that connecting train, I would eventually make it to this place. The airport, very familiar from the one we were at when we went to UK PonyCon. And up the escalators we went. This is always sort of a very impressive sight almost, because if you go up those, you get to see this. This is a very visually stunning airport, I say, because of that ceiling. But also look at how much space there is. I think this is one of the biggest in all of Europe, so this is always a good time to get here. Anyway, no time to waste. We got a plane to catch, and it's somewhere out there. It's a little difficult to find them. Seriously, there's so many planes out there, it's hard to spot yours. I kept looking, but didn't find it. But what I did find was cookies in my backpack. That's always a good thing. Seriously, if you're traveling, have a snack with you. It'll make your day 10 times better. Over here, we got our flight finally announcing boarding after waiting for like 3 hours. Then we follow the signs. Look at this. I'm pretty sure you can read that even if you don't know German. Airplane this way. So we go this way and indeed find our airplane. Look at this. This thing looks kind of cool. Look at the tail side, it has like little cyan/blue vibes going on. Pretty cool. Anyway, you can't fly an airplane from just standing outside of it, so we had to go on board, and look at this. I got a pretty good view seeing right on the wing here. Very nice getting to see the logo from this perspective throughout the entire flight. Anyway, like the previous time, we got to see how good the liftoff is of the airplane. We're gonna judge for this one as well. Let's see, how good is this one's liftoff? You can see how foggy it is out there. It was a very rainy day. But eventually, we did get over the clouds, and look at this. It's just a whole nother universe up there. When the Pegasi say that the skies are cool, this is what they're talking about, and I don't think we can argue against it. But what we can argue against is the dirty windows. Look at this, camera can't even focus. People did not clean the windows on that, would I? That's gonna get a downvote for sure. Not just kidding, I like the flight, but anyway, after I got to focusing back outside, look at how blue this is. You literally feel like you're about to go to space there. But it was rainy and cloudy as we went. As you see here, there's clouds above us and below us. Pegasi not doing their job, I'm on to you. But on all seriousness, we would keep flying, and most impressive was the view down. You see that? Right down there, the little peak between the clouds. If you take a closer look, there's actually mountains because we have to cross the Alps to get into Italy from where I am. Look at this. You don't usually get that close to mountains like this, people. But as you keep flying, you also see a bunch of lakes like this one. We got a little closer to it here. Yeah, the Alps are filled with lakes and mountains, every pony. Very curious. But eventually, we would leave the Alps and get into another section of the sky. Look at this, we have little strings, what looks like webs of cloud and sky. But also, look at this. Another airplane just out there. Look at him flying higher, thinking he's all better than we are. But eventually, we'd make it into Italy. Look at the ground below us. There's a lot of cities that you can see there, and forests mingled in with another. Very curious. And here, I think this is some power plant of sorts that we would reach. And here's a river as we are about to descend, everybody. So what do you think about this landing? I thought it was a little rocky, but it did a smooth break at the end. I think it was better than the one in Birmingham, everybody. Like that was not a perfect landing, but it was good. But as you get off the airplane, you notice something very peculiar. I know it's a no smoking sign, that's normal, but look at the language. It's Italian. We got a whole new language to learn getting into this country, so I probably should have looked at some basic words, but what does that mean to me, right? Who needs tutorials? Anyway, going into the airport, look at how massive this is. There was some huge rooms in that. I think that's Italy's second biggest, I believe, even. And we had to get outside and find our bus because, yeah, finding your bus in a language that you don't know was gonna be a challenge. But on the way there, I found this little hall of ornaments, and I think this is, of course, related to the Olympic Games. Has Milan been important for that? Maybe Simponi knows more about that than me. Anyway, walking past that would finally get outside after walking around lost for 20 minutes trying to find the damn bus stop. I would eventually catch my bus as we finally get in and leave the airport. And look at the ride here. What we have here is downtown Milan. Very curious. This is, I think, a very famous city for things like fashion. But I was not about fashion coming into this town. I left onto the train station here. Yes, we had to go from plane to bus to train. It makes no sense, I know, but it's how it is. And you follow this and you would eventually make it to this massive hall with all the trains. Yeah, look at how artsy this is for a train station. This is very antique, and that's one thing you'll notice about this video as we go through the town and all that. A lot of it looks very pretty. This is impressive. Look at this. But eventually we would be let out onto the train platforms. Look at how big this one is. And over here at the far corner, barely visible at the edge of rendering distance what it feels like, was our train. Look at this, we got closer. Yeah, the regional trains, you have to find those. Those are like off to the side, that's like their own thing. But eventually we would get on, and look at this. This was a very convenient one. See, this is Italian with subtitles. The only way I was able to learn a lot of things. On a serious note, I know Spanish and French decently, so I could guess most of the words, but not enough to hold any conversation. Yeah, this was an adventure all on its own. But as we drove along with our train, we got to take a peek outside. Look at this. We were literally going countryside with this one. There was so many farm buildings and whatnot outside. But after like an hour, it was not that much of a train ride, surprisingly. We would make it to Cremona Central, everybody. Look at this. This is the train everyone's getting off. I don't know how many of these are actually going to the convention, but it was nice to get some, solid ground to walk on again, so we would take that path to the hotel, and on my way, notice this. This is like living in the next century for me. You see that countdown where it says 19? This is telling you how long it stays green. We don't have that in our country. This is unheard of. This is advanced technology for me. But we would keep going along here, seeing more of the town. We see an old restaurant. We're gonna have a lot of Italian cuisine throughout this video, ponies. And here we would have to cross a little bit of a stretch here. It was very difficult to navigate all of this traffic as a pedestrian, but it was manageable, and we would eventually make it to the Continental, which was our hotel. Very interesting that. And here we go inside. Look at this. It was such a nostalgic one, and you could feel the Italy vibes here. And here's our route to the room, and this time we're not gonna get lost as we get to the room. Here we go for the reveal and react to my room. Alright, ponies, room 227. Let's discover this together. Ooh, this has been a journey. Oh, we found it. We found it. Yeah, this isn't like Polygon Holland where I'm running around lost for like 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, get out of the slip, you. And open sesame. In we go. Take a look at this. Ooh, This is kind of cozy, every pony. This is nice and cozy for one pony. You can even work here if you're feeling for it. This is kind of cushy. I like this. This is gonna be comfy. I also like this corner. Oh my gosh, this is pretty nice. All right, let's see. Wait, we have another door. Is it the Chamber of Secrets? One of these days is gonna be. Okay, which one of you is the light switch? Nope. I'm gonna find you. Well, ponies, after around 10 minutes of looking for how to turn it on, and notice this. Insert card for power. I pushed it like an idiot. Finally, I got the ticket inserted into the power slot and could get all of my luggage out. Look at this. This was what I was going to be wearing throughout the weekend. This is my pony outfit. Look at this. This is carefully crafted and definitely no favorite ponies are had here. Every pony is just... Anyhow, I had to go shopping because it was like, what, 8 p.m. I needed some, basic things like food and water. You need that as a gamer, I know this. And this means we had to navigate Italian supermarkets. Look at this. I don't even know what this is. I decided to take a picture of it. I cannot rate any of it, but it looks like cheese balls, and I don't know what that orange thing is. Yeah. Over here is an impressive one to me. Parmigiano Reggiano is like a special cheese that you use to make a lot of pasta dishes with. And for us in Germany, it's kind of expensive and hard to get in here. It's just out here in the dozens in the supermarket counter staring you down. Anyhow, we would get some items from here as we enter a little bit of a taste test about Italian things that you could get there. What did we have? We had... things I can't pronounce, but I think one of them is a brownie and the other is a noodle pasta dish thing. Well, ponies, we're in Italy. You know we're gonna do some taste testing, so this time, as you've seen in the pictures, I raided the nearby supermarket, and we're gonna see what some of this is. We're gonna try it. I have no idea what some of this is. We're gonna try to pronounce them. Already starting to pick up a couple of words in Italian, ponies. Watch me, ponies. By the end of this, we're gonna be able to speak Italian like we from here. Yeah, about that. Anyway, we're gonna try pasta mediterranea. Pasta fredda al gusto. Okay, this is what? I don't know what it is. We're gonna open this. I think this is a dessert. It is called brownie al cioccolato. I think we can understand that. And then there's this drink, which is oh wait, it has English writing. I can cheat. Rum with lime and mint flavors. Yay, something we recognize. And here we go. Let's see what this is, every pony. What could this be? This seems like a noodle salad kind of thing with... What is that? Is that mozzarella cheese ball? Mmm. Oh, this is surprisingly flavorful. I thought this was not gonna be as explosive as it is, but I like it. It's kind of spicy too. Mm-hmm. I can see this. This has like some sauces happening with these noodles. I don't know if you can see it, maybe a little bit, but I need to see what this is. I need to see what these little white balls. This has to be mozzarella, ponies. Let's see if I can open these and see what it tastes like. Mm-hmm. It is soft. Oh, this is definitely an interesting meal. It is flavorful. It has, if you can see here, there's peas, there's a little bit of ham in there, paprika, and then you have the mozzarella balls that just all bring this together. This is gonna be a good one, ponies. The salad is done. Next, we're having brownies, every pony. I can't believe there's 3 of these. Let's pop this open and see if the Italians know how to make a good brownie. Alright, ponies, let's have this one. Let's make it random every day and keep them all guessing which one's getting next. Alright, brownie at the bottom. You are mine. Pretty good. You can see that side. It is just filled with chocolate filling. And it is a crispy exterior too. This is pretty good, every pony. Even as some pony who's an American who knows brownies, I would say that this went pretty darn well. I love the flavors in this. I don't know if the label from the beginning said anything about the ingredients, but this This is amazing. I cannot believe there's 3 of these in the one box. Okay, ponies. And with good food goes a little bit of a drink. We have opened the can. We're gonna put this in and see what this tastes like. I've never tried this before, so this is gonna be crazy. Here goes. Ooh. Let's do like half. Let's do like half of this cup. Just get a taste of it. What does it look like? It smells limey, every pony. Let's give this a taste. I think this is gonna go well with this, people. Watch this be like the ultimate combo of things. So we've poured it. Let's see how well this tastes. Here we go. Oh, this is kind of good, ponies. I mean, it says there's rum on it, but you can't really taste it because of the lime. This tastes like lemonade, people, but I'm pretty sure that's the point of a drink like this, is so they can sneak it in on you. All that's left is a cup of this lime stuff, so let's take it to breakfast. Going on to the next day, we would go to breakfast first, of course, and for that we had to go to the Bistrot. I already like how there's pony references in the hotel. Anyhow, let's take a look at this Italian breakfast. We have, of course, toast and all that, but Italian breakfasts are small from what I hear. And then over here we have some tomatoes, cucumbers, omelets, eggs, and stuff all on the left side there. Take a better look here. We have some bacon. Yes, that was bacon in the middle. They didn't fry it crispy, unfortunately. This is a sin. We're gonna have a lot of culinary sins in this one, considering we're in Italy. Then they had this stuff. I think a lot of it was just cookies. I like cookies. Then over here we have more cured meats. We have cheese off to the side here. And at the far end, we have cereal. And here we have the breads that you get to work with. Look at how tiny this is. This is the tiniest of bread rolls that I've literally ever seen. This is insane. And me as someone who likes big breakfasts, I was gonna have to improvise and eat everything that I see. But let's go for the first Italian dish. Or drink, even in this case. Cappuccino is something you're supposed to drink for breakfast only, and so that's what we did. Drank it for breakfast. Very interesting way. Someone who doesn't usually drink coffee, I decided to go with it. The thing is, coffee makes people like me sleepy. Over here, we have my first plate of breakfast. Look at this. We have one of the little bread things. We got a cookie, a croissant, and some meat and cheese to go along with the little bread thing. But you also need something to drink. And look at this. We have pineapple juice. The forbidden fruit is right there. And for our second plate, I would get an omelet, I would get eggs, I would get the salami, I would get another piece of bread. Then for my third plate, yeah, you know I'm ravenous about this, I would get cake, another cookie, I think there's another tart in the back, and we'd get one of the little cookie packets from the thing earlier. I would have those as well, and yeah, this is pretty good. And then I had the pineapple juice with it, just to, you know, be a little bit edgy on it. Then I had to go out. Octavia judged my piano skills. That didn't go well for me at all. Seriously, there were so many insane cultural clashes as we get through this. Anyhow, it was noon. It was time to explore downtown Cremona, a very traditional city. And look at this. We have a little bit of a church thing going on, and it was actually part of a art exhibition. Yes, an art exhibition about contemporary art, everybody. We're gonna take a look at some of this. It's not just boring old paintings. It actually tries to teach us a lot of things here. So here we have the interior of a church that was also used as a way to house sick people, everybody. So they would use this to station sick people. But where does the art come into this? You see all the stuff in the center? We get a better peek of it here. It's a bunch of rocks at first glimpse, but as you take a closer look, you'll notice there's furnaces here. And those are supposed to keep the people warm and safe. But then you also notice that there's gas canisters, which make it dangerous again, because this can be explosive. But then you realize it can be safe again, because it's like all in a very stable and firm environment. If something happens, the building isn't going to be all that damaged and all that, so what this art piece is trying to tell us that things can be dangerous and safe without even us realizing that they are safe or dangerous, and that things are sometimes outside of our vision and outside of our control, and that sometimes unforeseen things can or might not happen at all, even if we're worried about it. Then we continue on. Seriously, it's probably one of my favorite lessons from that trip. We go on to the next art piece, and I think this is also one of my favorites. This is another cultural center that I tried to go to. Oh, it was locked! Of course it would be. That means we have to go to the next one, which was an interesting old building. This one, I was told, was about to get torn down on the next day. But here's where the art piece comes into play. You see all these plates. For this one, they would walk around the city and ask for a donation of a plate. And every pony, the reason is because everyone in their household eats their food out of a plate, out of something. And that brings people together. And it's like everyone getting to show their own way of eating, and that unites people. And here you get a better peek. You see all these different kinds of plates that they got. This is literally the town of Cremona in one room. But also look at over here. This was a very decrepit and old building. You could see this thing was coming apart, but here, look at this. This is some interesting plates. We even have a Hello Kitty plate. Shoutouts to that. I wonder if there was a pony plate on there. Probably should have taken a closer look. Anyway, you see over here is the exit, and it is a very interesting way to see the town of Cremona uniting in a very symbolic way as the future continues, because the building gets torn down, but also much related to the previous one where they told us that unforeseen things can happen. Very interesting and a very inspiring story. Anyway, to go with your little exhibition, I would go through town, and one of the most impressive things is like the structure, like I said at the beginning. Everything is pretty. You have nice little balconies, you have the little rocky things holding them up, and it was time for the next Italian snack. This is a gelateria, and here you can eat gelato, which is an Italian specialty. Look at this, you have different flavors. Don't call it ice cream, I hear that's an insult. Anyway, here you see ice cream. I chose lemon and I went overboard. This is a massive, like, I think this is like a quarter gallon. I went overboard on ice cream, all lemon. As you see here, it was very delicious, and it tastes very different compared to ice cream because it doesn't use any milk in this one. It is just very flavorful and super sour and much more intense compared to regular ice cream, and I loved that. It was very delicious, and I came back a couple times for other flavors. And to go with this, I would walk around with the ice cream and enjoying some more sights. Here we have, I think, what's like a cafe of sorts in a very, very impressive building. Then walking over here, we have, I think, a church. Look at how tall this is. This was like, I was standing in front of it. Look at the little doorway. This thing was huge and probably hundreds of years old. The same thing for this one. This was impressive. Then it was time to go on to a museum to round out the day. A museum of archaeology. So we have things like this. We have pottery and we have statues. This was honoring the dead. Yes, this is also something, you know, back in the day they did, is they honored the fallen. Then over here we have some floor tiling, some pavement parts. Here at the bottom, you see those little sticks. Those are actually pencils, or what they used to use to write back in the day. And over here, we see some ruins that have been excavated. Very impressive and very ancient. And what you see here is the floor of a house. Yeah, this is impressive. I was very impressed with the museum and the stuff they had in their collection. Here we see a closer look at some more floor tilings. But there also was some modern art. This was, I think this one was titled Shame. Yeah, very interesting one, but eventually I had to leave the museum. I wanted to grab a quick bite to eat, and over here we have one of many vending machine stores where there was just literally vending machines in there. You could get whatever you want. And so we take a look at Italian vending machines. You can get like little lemonades out of there. I think those are kind of expensive, but it was interesting. We're gonna do taste test in a hot moment. But as I walked back to the hotel to do the taste test, I saw some more things. Look at the architecture. People live here. People live in this place with like the massive pillars and whatnot. Then I would go even further, see another building. This is part of an exhibition too. You can see the ornaments. You can see the little chandeliers. You can see the little stair railings. It was literally not only a home for people, but it was also walking artworks, as it felt like. We were walking through arts. Much like this is what a typical alleyway in Italy is like. It is very, very ominous but traditional. You can feel the pizza. You would even sometimes hear people singing. What a vibe this was. Then we'd also have parks everywhere. This was also something I noticed in town. There was a lot of piazzas everywhere. You could just sit down and relax. And it was time for me to fetch dinner, and it would go Italian style. We would start this off with a caprese. This was like little, don't call it bread. This was like, okay, I'm gonna call it bread. It was crunchy, and there was like little burrata inside. You see some olive oil, you see some tomatoes and olives. This was sort of like a starter. Then it was time to pick a main dish from this lovely menu. Look at this. This was so cool. But the chef was super friendly and suggested something for me, which was the molisana al caviale di melanzane. Don't grate me on that, please. But one Italian tradition I knew is that when you're done with your food and your plate looks like this, you take bread and scrape it up. Scarpetta, very important one. And then it was time to go on to the main dish. Oh yeah. So what this was, it was fusilli, then we have parmigiano, we have aubergine, we have pepper, we have onion, we have olive oil. A lot of interesting ingredients that all came together really well, and the most impressive thing was you could taste that the pasta was handmade. It had perfect consistency, it was totally al dente. Props to the chef, this was absolutely stunning. We get to take a closer look at this. You see the onions, you see all the ingredients, you know that is very damn tasty. And yeah, here we get another peek at the total menu, and I hear that this thing changes every now and then, so by the time you might be wanting to visit that restaurant, this menu might already have changed. And we would have dessert back at the hotel room because we had to check out some dishes that we got from the supermarket as well. So we've poured ourselves this lime drink, and all that's left is to taste. Here we go. What do we have? Oh, this is good, Harry Pony. This is very, very citrusy. Of course, because it's lime, but it also feels like there's something else. Like there's lemon in here, I think. We're gonna move on to taste the cookies of this part, Harry Pony. So, Italy, we're gonna test your cookies today. We've tested the ones at UK PonyCon. Those were great. We're gonna first start off with Gocchiole finger cookies. Very interesting, and never seen cookies in the shape of this before, so let's see what those are to begin this round. And listen. Look at that, there's even chocolate on the underside. But these are very chocolatey, you can see the chips in there too. Very crunchy, like that. This is a solid 9 out of 10. I would say, you know, when it comes to the perfect cookie, there's always a spot between being too crunchy and being too soft and hitting that perfectly. I'd say it's slightly on the crunchy side, but not by much. This is just me nitpicking. Easy 9 out of 10. Next, we're moving on to Scacchieri cookies. And these are these little pillow-looking things, and we're gonna see what this tastes like, so let's begin right now. Oh, I like this one. I think this is almost better in terms of consistency. But you can taste a little bit of caramel on it. I think it's on the package too. Yeah, there's a caramel thing there. I like this. I think this is almost better. There's like more flavors going on. I think there's more grain in this too. Yeah, look at this. This is a pretty interesting. I say Italy, your cookies are pretty dang good. This is a pass for certain. And so it was time for the next day, people. Look at this. I got to wake up to this every time. A traditional Italian setting. You just see balconies and flowers everywhere. Super homey and very cushy. But day 2 means it's time for more breakfast. We have more croissants, more omelets, more cheese, more tomatoes. Here's plate number 2, more eggs, more bread, more tomatoes, more cucumbers, more cheese, also another cappuccino. We got some cereal this time as well. And so on the second day I was out for a little bit of a quest. I had to walk 50 minutes to get to Centro Commerciale, and that is a shopping center, of course, that you see off in the distance. And we go inside the shopping center, exploring Italian shopping centers. Whoever thought we'd get here? And the reason I got here was because I heard there was ponies, but we're also going to take this moment to like explore the different buildings. You see a gaming store, you see a smartphone thing, but I couldn't read any of it, so I just went for it. And eventually I would get to see this inside of a store. It is a pony helmet. It didn't fit me, but if it did, I would have bought that. I would have bought that so much. But the main reason I came to the store was this. Look at this. There was actually G5 plushies in the store. Oh no, what's this? Izzy disappeared. What could have happened to her? I totally didn't bring that with me home. Then I would move along through the shopping center and I would find a claw machine, and so I decided to try my luck.
Does it actually do it? Oh, I felt that one, damn it.
As you heard, that didn't go as planned. There was also a bookstore where I didn't understand much, but understood this. Mares. Mares. We understand that much. I'm pretty sure that's what they were talking about. Then there was actually a cinema inside the shopping center. Something I never seen before. Then over here we have like a little novelty store where they have like little gadgets. Oh, look at this unicorn. Pretty sure that's not gonna go home with me. Then we also have some figurines over here. I think those have a specific name too. I think those are like 2 things. I don't know. But I had to get home eventually, and it was time for another taste test because I've been walking for 2 hours straight at this point.
This is good.
Oh, this is very intense, people. They weren't kidding when they said it is intenso. And then it was time to dress up like this. Look at me all ponied up. Why did we dress up? Because we had to go pre-register at the convention, but I get lost again for like the 3rd time this weekend, walking around circles for 20 minutes. But eventually I would find my way and had to go past this, which looked like a fire station / army thing, and it would make it to Fiera di Cremona, where we would pre-register for Eponafest, the main reason we even came out here. Look at this is kind of vibe. And during pre-registration, you get like your little lanyard, the thing that you put your name on, and you get the little con guide so you can get started. And after this, it was time to fetch dinner with fellow bronies at this lovely pizzeria, which was part of the deal. Getting there was tough though because I ran into this. A train was coming and I had to wait for a solid 10 minutes. But eventually I would get to go to the osteria, where we would meet with fellow bronies to have some Italian pizza, the next dish. Yes, it comes from Italy. I know there's people like, oh, it doesn't come from Italy. No, seriously, we get to insult the Italians later. But here we have my Izzy blush. I wonder where that came from with glasses. Look at that, looking pretty spicy. And seriously, look at how many people there is. This place is absolutely packed. And it was a good time. We got to see a bunch of plushies. Look at the little Celestia and little Anon pony. Then over here we have a big one with socks. And of course we got cider. Wait, actually, I planned to get cider because cider is not a thing in Italy. This was beer, unfortunately. Then we have a very interesting Twilight. Then we have an OC over in this corner. Didn't see that one before. Then we have this very gorgeous Misty. This was an Alicorn Misty, I believe. Then I think this one, I don't know what this is, but it looked pretty. Okay, I took a picture of it. I don't know what it was. Pace was never an option. That's what I say to that. Then Izzy here had criticism, and that was that the plate was empty, but not for long, because the pizza came through. Look at this. It was just like massive plates of pizza, and you could always just pick some that you wanted. Here we got some ham and cheese. We got, I think this is just tomato sauce, but I was told Italians find this kind of pizza not to be pizza because it's almost like cake. And so we decided to insult the Italians. This was someone next to me putting something onto their pizza. They put on sprinkles. A lot more sprinkles. Even more sprinkles. Oh my gosh, this was a scandal. Everyone was witnessing it.
This is perfect. This is Italy, people.
Yeah, Italians definitely found this mildly offensive, to say the least. Then we had other pizza kinds coming through. This was for cheese. Then we had one with sausage. Here we had another offensive one. This was literally fries and cheese on pizza. It was delicious. I loved it, but I know the Italians are gonna be like, nah, it's not pizza. Then, look at this. We had other people with crazy shoes. This was a stunning, interesting thing, to say the least. Shoes were in fashion. Over here we have Opaline stealing some pizza. I was getting massively bloated by that point. It was like pizza slice number 8. And the way to calm that down was karaoke. Yeah, there was a lot of karaoke to be sang in the restaurant. So I joined in a little bit, did well, but I also went to bed early because we had to get up for the next day. It was the first day of the convention. You can't be sleepy for that. So we rise for the first day of the convention with more breakfast, more omelets, more cheese. I got soft-boiled eggs this time. More bread, more eggs, and here they would mix it up a little bit. They had like schnitzels and cooked potatoes. I, of course, had that. Then we had pineapples, we had peaches, And I was ready. Izzy was ready, so we went to the convention. Look at this. It was sunny the whole way through. As it was in Italy, one of the best things was the weather, without question. And so we would get to this ominous looking building, which looks like a factory, but it's actually where the convention takes place. Look at this. I was greeted by a drawing of Millie. Very nice. I think this is one of the first things that people did, was starting to draw with crayons. I'm horrible with that, but it was so impressive to see people doing it. Anyway, we got to go inside. Look at this. This is one of the fanciest cameras I've ever seen. Love it. We could use something like this. And we would take a look at the con guide. We're going to take a tour through the con grounds, inspect everything there is to see, and of course at the end we're going to have a picture of our hall. We also got to learn that Luna eats oats. Jeez, Princess Celestia, you didn't have to do her like that, but you might be right about that. We also got to meet Vinyl Scratch, very infamous, very based person. And yeah, this is very entertaining for all of us. So our con journey would officially begin as we get to take a peek at the vendor's hall. Look at this. We have some stickers, we have comic books. Then over here we have some very impressive artwork. Then moving along we see more stickers, more impressive art. Very interesting to see all the people. And of course all the happiness of the people doing the stands. It takes a lot of work to vend at a convention. Then we have this very pretty banner from 2023. Did like the artwork especially. Then we have more stickers, we have more pins over here on this side, and we have a massive Luna because we actually had to go and catch the opening ceremony. And over here we see very interesting face you're gonna see later. We have this massive Twilight. Seriously, this is impressive and probably one of my favorite plushies. It's just how huge this is. And then it was time to officially begin Eponafest 2025 Pirates Edition. Yes, the theme was pirates, and so we had to find some pirates. And before we did that, the host introduced us to the convention, of course. And here we have a pretty animation that always played on standby. I love that one. That was amazing. But also listen to the pretty little jingle here. Anyhow, eventually we would find two pirates. Seriously, those actually played pirate music. Take a listen to this. Very impressive performance. Then over here we got to see an animatic running after they played, which was Poland Island. I don't know what that means. And we got to see a little bit about the guests, of course. Opaline was here. We were gonna meet her later. I think it was the first thing after the opening ceremony. And so, we had to go out through the vendor hall. We see frisbees, we see a carrying bag, we see more art pieces over there, we see plushies, and this one over here is no unfamiliar plushie maker. We've not seen them before, but we own a plushie of them, of course. You're gonna know why in a little bit, but for now, those are some very adorable plushies, of course. I'd be saying that as someone who owns one. Then here we have other conventions promoting Hops Feather Fest. Unfortunately, I don't think I can make it this time, but we will be there next year, I think. It's something to keep in mind. I think this one is in Austria, too. Then over here we have some light features. Look at that, there's Izzy. I was so debating getting that, but the one thing is, if you're going on the plane, you have to be careful with how much stuff you bring back. You don't want to pay over. Then over here, we have keychains and buttons and little plush balls. And then over here we have Noxie, who makes plushies, and this is also going to be important for a workshop, I think, on the next day, I believe? Or this day, I don't know. I was just, you know, doing things like I always do, just do things. And over here we have shirts, pony shirts. I probably should have gotten one of those. And over here, we literally have an army of Opalines. And over here we have another Opaline, but it's the original, actually, yes. This is the voice actor who voices Opaline in the show, Athena, and we got to meet her a little bit and got some signatures, every pony. Then over here, after we got to meet Opaline, we got to meet the bass cannon, you know, the vinyl scratch from earlier. This is like their musical instrument. But then I got some inspiration for Beat the Alicorn, my own gaming show, and that was through this. Indeed, it is a memory card game that you see in here for a little bit, and we would be getting a set of those cards along with another game that I bought. Over here we have some posters, we have more stickers, we have a few more carrying bags over there in the back. Then we have the new banner for 2025, of course it was going to be at an auction. We have pillows, this is like one of those big body pillow things. And we would go past the stand with the plushies again, over here to see some more keychains, we see some more bags, we see socks even at the top. We see a slap-on wristband over at the left. Very interesting that. And we also see a book with the harmony symbols. I think one of them was like the Bible of Celestianism. That was a real thing. Then over here we see commission artists. This is people who would like draw at the convention. Over here we got some more shirts that you could get. And over here we had a Twilight crap. I've literally never thought about that, but props to the creativity. We also see some chocolate mini biscuits down there. Pony style. You know we're gonna have to taste these at the end of the video. Then we gotta take a closer look at the Izzy glow thing. This was so cute. If I would not have taken a plane and I would have been in another country, this would have gone home with me. Oh, look at this. We have Izzy plushie over here. Look at this. We have Sunny, we have Hitch, we have Posey. Always love to see very adorable and creative plushies. Over here we have Puno, which we have played the game on the channel before it got taken down, but there's a physical version that you can play now. Definitely going to be bringing this to Meetup, see how it goes. And at the top you see the little red and blue thing. I think this is also another game. I don't know what that is called. Then over here we have a table with other conventions, and you know we're going to visit PonyCon Holland, but at the bottom, Brony Scott. I didn't even know Scotland had conventions. But that's a reason to visit Scotland if I've ever seen one. So we have Scotland and Austria as reasons to travel abroad next year. Are we making plans for next year, are we? Then over here we got to see Vinyl Scratch try themselves at the memory card game. They're absolutely amazing at it though. It was tough to beat. I think they won. Then over here we have the Bible of Celestianism. Or Celestianism is what it's called. There we go. That's some very interesting things. But you can actually buy that. It was very nice. Then it was time to catch like the last few snippets of a panel that I missed because I was busy in the vendor hall. And this was like comic artists, and they told us a little bit about their work and craft, and we could like see them draw live over here. Very impressive. Look at this. This is, I think, them working on the banner or part of a comic, I believe. But we could see them draw live, which was very impressive. Then here they have some more things that they drew. And we got technical issues. No, this is not a glitch on my end. This is a glitch on the technical side of Eponafest. It was part of the deal, really. And over here we see the finished work. Very impressive. Then I would go back into the dealer's hall, see some more things you could get. And over here we have this little, I don't know what this is called, but this is like a gambling thing where you put like a coin and you get something. And this year I didn't have time to go to the Austrian convention, but they were giving away a ticket. It was just like, what if I got the ticket right now? Didn't get the ticket, unfortunately. Then we have more plushies. Look at this. There were so many plushies at that convention. And here we have Astias, I think that's what it's called. Why is this important? Because the Izzy plush that I have is made by this very creator. Of course, I gave him a button. You see that on the left? You see the Nightmare Moon with my button? I gave him that because seriously, this plushie is amazing and very enjoyable. And I do also took a picture of me. Then over here we have the Captain Purple's Dice Challenge, which didn't go well for me. We did beat him, but unfortunately, it was not a very good beat. You had to be very good, and we don't know if those dice were rigged now. Maybe we just had bad luck. But dice are going to be important later, as we head into the workshop room for the first workshop of the weekend, where we had to make a plush keychain. And everything came with this little bag. We took everything apart. And here we have a plush head. We have little mane and feather pieces. We have a little thread of keychain, and we have the little ring and the cardboard thing. And we had to take everything apart. And first we had to put a little plastic thing into the keychain. Listen to this. This is what this does. You've probably heard those at a bunch of conventions during auctions before. And we had to get Suin, and as someone who's horrible with anything crafty, this is like the one time of the year where we do some crafty, so it was kind of an adventure. And we had to first put the little green string into the hat and then seal it shut with Suin. And then we had to get onto the green stuff and attach those. And I think I had to ask Noxie to rethread me like 50 times because it was too clumsy. But I was very happy that she had the patience to help all of us out because some of us were not good at this. And she made it look easy, mind you. And eventually, after like 2 hours, we put it together like this. I deviated from the original design, and that's what we do. And it looks kind of fancy. I think I made like a 90s hairdo style. Kind of love it. And yeah, we're gonna see all of the things at the end that we've done from the workshops as well. And we got a little bit of a gift. This was a hat, and you can like sew this onto the hat. I don't know if I'm daring enough for that though. And after the workshop, we got to meet a familiar face. It was DC Sparks. At this point, he's like a recurring background character. He's at every convention I've been to. He's also going to be at Everfree Northwest. We're going to meet him at all the other conventions at this point. Then we get interrupted by candy. This was on another table, and we could just pick something, and I got a little bit of sweets. And then I found a room with a lonely microphone. And this was the karaoke room. Yes, this was an interesting karaoke setup to say the least. We sang some songs, and eventually we had to catch some food and a little bit of a break, which I did in a bit. But on the way out, I noticed it was someone's birthday. What do you know that? I don't know whose birthday it was, but congrats to them. Anyway, here's what it was like when we went outside eating. So the story behind this is that we went outside and we were like, who wants to go eat? And while we were like deciding on where to go eat, more people joined us. And this kept going for like 20 minutes until we were like 30 people and we'd go towards the restaurant. And here you see a plushie that I got from the convention, a little bit of a spoiler. But it was wrapped in the plastic, and that seems cruel at first, but it seemed the correct choice because soon a neighbor of mine would get splatters from their own pasta, so I got saved by being lazy there. Anyway, we get to see some original Italian pizza this time. We have a calzone over here. Look at how big this calzone is. Then we have some tuna that I got to eat. And it was very, very delicious. Literally a full course. And then after dinner, it was time to go back to the convention. And we had to participate in some pirate games. First up was this, a balancing game. We had to get across these without fumbling. Then over here we had to dig for doubloons. Very interesting one. Then here we had to solve a puzzle related to pasta. And here we had to do some can throwing or can knocking over. Surprisingly, I was really good at them. I beat the pasta thing in like 1 or 2 guesses. I was a little bit too good that evening. And then I would go for some more games, so unfortunately not many people were gaming. And so I headed to the karaoke room.
That you hold inside despite the love of your friends.
And after the karaoke, I would decide to go to the main party. And after the main party, I would go to the bar, everybody. I would go into this weird rhythm where I would go karaoke, party, bar. And after the bar, we go back to karaoke and we'd repeat this. But let's take a peek at the bar because that was actually really pretty to me. We have an interesting menu of drinks here. And the bar was stacked. It had so many different kind of drinks and snacks and everything. And take a wild guess at what kind of drink this is. I'm pretty sure the color isn't going to give it away. But a Pinkie Pie drink was actually really delicious, super fruity, but also kind of strong. I liked it, kind of my thing. Then we'd go back to the party, back to karaoke. We would have a tie in karaoke. Then here would actually see something very impressive. Someone is actually making Opaline's castle and showing it to her. Then we'd go back to the party, karaoke, back to the bar, back to the party, watching other people party, more karaoke, more party, and then I fell into a deep slumber. And woke up to day number 2 of the convention, everybody. Oh boy, seriously, it was a kind of interesting evening. And day 2 begins by going into the workshop room, and we were up and scheduled, Applejack told us about this here, for a game involving minifigurines and character sheets. Yes, it was the D&D panel, and I got to play as Violet Wind, a Breezy, which was one of the more random characters I've ever gotten to play in D&D. Imagine a character that is super tiny, the size of an ant, but is super strong. It was the biggest conflict. I once almost got crushed by a book. But it was powerful all the same. Over here we had a battle that we had against a plush bear, and my little Breezy just destroyed him. But I almost got destroyed by a book, so this was interesting. Look at this, I have 9 health. I'm the squishiest thing. Then after this little workshop, it was time to visit an interesting panel called Italian Food Atrocities, where they would talk about all the ways that people mock Italian food and offend them. But first they had to tell us a little bit about Italy. Look at this. This is a pretty accurate map. Then here we have a pasta dish, and this is the not-so-safe version that Vinyl Scratch made. This is kind of interesting. Then here we have original lasagna, and this is the insult that people made. Here we have original pizza, and this is what it looks like when you have way too much garlic, and we kind of give to it. This is fantastic, this pizza. And here we have Pesaro, which is apparently the weird part of Italy. And seriously, it looks kind of delicious. I would eat tagliatelle and beans. And moral of the story is whatever you want, because Pesaro is in Italy. Just don't put cream in carbonara. Can't promise that, people. Just gotta put the cream away then. Anyway, on the way back to the next thing, or the last thing even, we got to see this another paper thing where everyone got to like draw, and of course it put a little doodly thing on it. Now here we got to see Ponytown, and the people got to see like the main stage while playing the game, which was very nice. Anyway, it was time for the final panel, and that is of course the auction. Yeah, if you're wondering where all the squeaking came from, it's because all the people that were at the panel had one of these now, so this was a noisy auction. But let's take a look at some of the memorabilia here. So let's take a look at the first thing that was auctioned. We have some items from BabsCon, which doesn't exist anymore. Then over here we have a stand with Little Pip, which is actually glow in the dark. Then over here we have some prints from Lightning Blitz. Then we have dice potions. These are like little jars filled with dice, and you can use it to shake them. Then over here we have some stainless steel tags, and this is the first sketchy item. You see the thing the guy's holding? That is bubble wrap. If you thought this was the auction for the figurine, no, we were auctioning bubble wrap. Then, yeah, the bubble wrap went away for like, I think 50 or 70. It's actually the most expensive bubble wrap I think I've ever seen. Then over here we have some more prints signed by Tom Zoller. This is the comic artist. Then here we have another drawing, very impressive. Then here we have a collection of Chinese MLP figures, those are tough to come by. Then over here we have a memory game. And here we have the infamous millimeter, very impressive. This is seriously, it is actually meter long as we were able to find. Then here we have an acrylic LED lamp, a Princess Zip plushie. I was going for that one, but it went way expensive, and we have other conventions to go to. Then over here we have some more drawings, and of course, the banners that had to go out. Wait, no, that wasn't a banner. That was actually just one of the paper things from the beginning of the convention. Then we have an interesting Trixie plush, but that's not what's getting auctioned here either. It's the bottle that the lady's holding. That was also going away for like 100. This is almost Galacon levels of crazy. Then over here we have a Perry plushie, and that was pretty much it, I thought, until they found an ear of that plushie that they also would auction away. And here's another thing that they auctioned. Yes, it's the clipboard that the guy is holding. That was also getting auctioned away. Who the hell auctions clipboards? Brody's doing, as he was enjoying this. And so the auction eventually came to a close, and we have a total of around 6,500 euros that was raised. Very impressive for a smaller convention, mind you. And then it was time to see the people behind the convention. We see the organizers, we see the volunteers, and we see the special guests too.
Here in Cremona and decided to participate and take part at Eponafest 2025. Thanks to each and every one of.
And so the convention was over. It was time to leave. Everyone was storming out, but not without a little bit of a montage that they had made, showing off the best bits of the convention. On the way out, we got to see some origami. Very interesting. That's seriously, they turned the Ponycon Hall and other things just into origami. That's impressive. Anyway, we got to go back outside. It's hard to believe this is a factory-like building on the outside. And we got to say goodbye to Fiera di Cremona. And seriously, look at how warm and sunny this is. I love the weather. And I had to find a way to get back home to Equestria, but I needed to wait for the portal, and so I decided to go back into town for one more ride in this. This is a wonderful themed car, very, very pretty. And with Opaline and Izzy, I would decide to go to the Pesciolini Innamorati. Don't know what that means, but it was very interesting, and it is a fish restaurant, as you might be able to see by the signs. And that is because Italy's also very famous for fish. So we have some fish dishes. And here we have the menu, which I couldn't read. This was my experience in Italy. What does this mean? And I understood some of it. And so we had rigatoni marimonti, very interesting. It had a lot of different kinds of fish. And the rigatoni were cooked perfectly. The lady was super friendly, explaining all the dishes to us. And here is dessert. Another Italian specialty that I was almost sleeping on. Tiramisu also comes from Italy. Very delicious dish. It's sort of creamy, chocolatey, coffee-y. A lot of nice flavors. And then it was time to head back to Equestria, and on the way there I saw some books and some more statues and another random plaza. Seriously, it was very interesting to see. There was a lot of wild things, and it was always sort of like calm and very adventurous vibe. Very interesting. Anyway, ponies, I realized, wait a minute, I need to go back to Equestria, so I got back to the convention grounds and activated the portal back and raced to the end and just opened a door to another dimension. I wonder why humans don't go to Equestria. You just gotta open the door and push it 3 times. It's not that hard. Anyway, ponies, let's take a look at the outro and take a look at all the stuff that I got at the convention ground. And here we are at the end. And before we can end this, we have to take a look at the loot of the convention. So at the top left, you see a golden doubloon that I won for beating the quest of Eponafest. Then we see the card that I got from being in Eponafest itself. Then you see the Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash pack thing. Those are trading cards. We will be opening those in another short. You don't want to miss that. Then you see the posters from the other conventions. You see stickers. You see the squeaky toy. You see the Sweet Dreams unicorn. I'm going to set that up. Then below that, we have the Puno cards. We got the Lanyard. Then let's go to the right. We have the Izzy and Sunny. I wonder where those came from, eh? Then we have the signature of Opaline, where she said, "Much love to the second best alicorn, eat my dust, darling." Then we have the cookies, or mini biscuits. We got a handlet from the contemporary art thing. We have the memory cards. We have an Izzy card, and we have a tote bag from Eponafest. And with that, we have a small but very sweet haul of this convention, and y'all know we're going to another convention, and for this, I'm gonna need a tool for the next convention. That is this stuff. But also, let's see what Opaline has to say. Here goes the full message that I didn't, put in earlier.
Why, hello, little ponies. It's New Leaf's second time in Italy. He's here for Eponafest, and your new queen, Opaline, is here. New Leaf is an alicorn, and I am an alicorn, and alicorns rule. Subscribe to the channel, or I will steal all your cutie marks.